Welcome back everybody, my name is Dustin, and in the last video we started the input manager and we were able to get the keyboard working. This video is going to be a direct continuation of the last video. So if you haven't watched the last video yet, I recommend that you check it out first. You can check that video right here before proceeding, and if you have, alright, let's go. So in today's video we're going to start on the mouse class, and we're also going to do the bindings in Lua for the input manager and then see if we can get it to work in our main.lua file. So just like the keyboard keys, we're going to make some constants for us for the mouse buttons. So let's do that now. So go to our inputs, add, new item, and that's going to be mousebuttons.h, mousebuttons.h. And since there's only a few mouse buttons, I'm going to just do these for us right now. It's just const expr int Scion mouse. And we're going to say this is mouse unknown. Known. And that's going to be equal to -1. And then we're going to have another one. It's going to be the left. Whoops. Mouse left. Mouse middle, and mouse right. And that's going to be 1, 2, and 3. So -1, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right. So now that we have the mouse buttons created, there's only a few for us. Let's go and actually start the mouse class. So in the same area, so in our inputs here, we're going to go add, new, and that's mouse.h. Okay, mouse.h, start that up. Okay, so as we discussed in the previous video, all of our input devices, well, most of the input devices will have some sort of button associated with them. So we're going to create a map of buttons. The mouse class is very similar to the keyboard class. However, there are a few more features that the mouse has. The mouse also has an X and Y screen position, and it can also have an X and Y wheel scroll. So when you scroll the wheel, we have X and Y values. It will also have a world position, which we'll handle that later on. Right now, we're only going to worry about the actual screen position of the mouse. So we need to accommodate for that. First thing we're going to do here is include button, because it has buttons. And then we need to include the mouse buttons so we can get those constants. Mouse buttons. And then we also need to include map, because we're just going to do a simple map of the buttons. Okay, and then it's going to be namespace, Scion, windowing, and inputs. Okay, and then we're going to have a class, mouse, and in there, we're going to have our private and public. I like to put private at the top. So we go, if you like to put it at the bottom, go by all means, go ahead. But I like it at the top. And we're going to have our std map. And it's going to be an int of buttons. And since it's just we only have 3 buttons that we're really going to do. And not buttons, int of button. Okay. And map buttons, basically the same as the keyboard. So since we only have 3 buttons, we're just going to do it right here, and that's going to be Scion, mouse left, and that's going to be a new button, middle right, oops, middle and right. Cool. So as I said before, we're also going to have an X and Y position, and then we're also going to have a wheel X and wheel Y. So we go int mx, and that'll be 0, my, also 0, and wheel X, start at 0, and wheel Y, start at 0. Now, not all mice have X and Y. Some only have X, some only have Y. We're going to cover both. And we're going to go bool mb mouse moving. Now the mb mouse moving is done in the process events. We will be setting to see if the SDL mouse motion, and that will be what sets that. Okay, so since all of our variables are already initialized here, we can just give it a default constructor, and then we can have a default destructor as well. Okay. And just like the keyboard, we're going to have our update, on key or on button press functions, and is button press, stuff like that. So let's add that in now. So void update. That will reset all of our buttons. And void on button pressed. Int sends in the button. And on button released. And then we're also going to have the const bool is button pressed, takes in a button as well, is button just pressed, and is button just released. Just pressed, just released. Okay. So there's those. That's basically the same as the keyboard. There's a couple other things that we need to get now. Now we want to get the mouse position. We want to be able to set the wheel X, wheel Y, set motion, and we also want to get wheel X, get wheel Y. So for the mouse position, up here, you see we have two integer values for M, X, and Y. That's because the SDL mouse state is an integer value. So we could use a vec, GLM vec2, but I'm just going to use a tuple here. So std tuple. And that's going to be int value. And it's going to say get mouse position. Now, I think we should just say get mouse screen position, because later on we're going to have a world position. So we might as well just do the screen position now. Okay, and then we're going to have some inline functions, inline void, set mouse wheel X. And that'll take in an int, and we'll just say wheel. And that's going to, not return, sorry, M wheel X is equal to wheel, and we can do wheel Y as well. And then we need to go set mouse moving, set mouse moving. That's a bool value, bool moving, and then MB is mouse moving is equal to moving. Cool. And then we have a few getters, so let's go inline const int get mouse wheel X, const return M wheel X, and wheel Y, we want the same for Y. And then we also want is mouse moving. Is mouse moving. And this is going to be const bool, and then MB is mouse moving. Okay, so that's basically the mouse. We just need to create these functions now. So let's highlight them, control period, go down to create declaration definition. That should create it for us in mouse.cpp. Awesome, so let's get rid of this. Cool. Go to our new mouse.cpp that was created for us. And because we have a few functions here, I want to go, sorry, get rid of this, go namespace, and do a little cleanup. Scion window wing. Inputs. Cool, grab all these, put them inside, and let's do some cleanup here. Get rid of all this extra fluff. Now again, if you know a faster way to do that, let me know. Whoops, all right, one more. All right, we're good. So what are we gonna need here? We're gonna need the SDL, because we wanna be able to get the mouse position, so that's SDL.h. And we can also use the logger as well for any errors that we may have. So logger.h. Okay, cool. Okay, so in the update function for the mouse, we need to reset all the button states just like the keyboard. However, we're also gonna have to reset the wheel X and wheel Y values back to 0. And we're gonna wanna reset the mouse moving variable back to false as well. The mouse moving will be set every time from the SDL process event. So every time that we move the mouse, it'll be reset. And then at the end of each frame, we want to set it back to false. And then also the wheel X and wheel Y, they have a scroll up, scroll down. So you're basically a +1 or -1. So we don't want it to hold on to that value after the end of the frame. We want it to reset back to 0. So we can do all that now. So we go for auto button in buttons. Sorry, in button. In M map buttons, sorry. And we just want to say button dot reset. Cool. Then we reset our button, and then here we want to go M wheel X is equal to 0, and wheel Y is equal to 0, and MB mouse moving is equal to false. Cool. So that's our update function or our reset function. It updates at the end of each frame. Okay, so just like the keyboard here, we want to check to see if our button is unknown, and then get an iterator to the button and see if it's there. Okay, so we go if button is equal to Scion mouse unknown. We want to have a small error, Scion error, mouse button is unknown. And we'll just send in the button for that. And then just return, okay? And then, so if the button is not an unknown button, let's see if we have that button in the map. Button iter is equal to m map buttons dot find, and that is the button. And we want to check to see if the button iter is equal to the end of the map. So we go if button iterator is equal to m map buttons dot end. And we basically want to have the same error or similar error here. Copy this. Mouse button does not exist. All right, and if we made it to here, we just want to go button iter second dot update true, just like the keyboard. Awesome. And then we can copy all this and go to our on button released. Just change this to false. Then we can go stay copied here, paste it in there, and then this would be is button pressed, false, false. Oh yeah, let's make this const as well. Const here, const, const. Okay, that changes everything here. So this will be return, return, B is pressed. And we have to go back. We might as well go back now and do it. And change these all to const. This should probably be const as well. Cool. All right, so everything's const. Take all this. Change this to B is just pressed, B just pressed, and paste again. B is just released. All right, so that's it. Basically the same as the keyboard. For the get mouse screen position, we just want to get the mouse state. So SDL get mouse state, and we want to send in a pointer to MX and our MY. Can't do this one const here. So we gotta go back and change that. Now we're not sending in a pointer, we're sending in the address of our MX and MY variables. And now, because we're sending a tuple, we're gonna go return std make tuple, and that'll be MX and MY. Awesome, so that's our mouse class. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Basically the same as the keyboard with a little bit of extra features. So now let's go to our input manager and add in our mouse. So we'll come up here, add in our mouse, and we're gonna want a pointer to the mouse, MP mouse, and then we're also gonna wanna have down here a get mouse, MP mouse, get mouse, and a mouse reference. Awesome, pretty straightforward, just added that into our input manager. And now we go into our input manager.cpp. Oh, hold on. We want to add in our button names as well. So let's go static void register mouse button names. Now taking a sole state reference Lua. So just like our keys, we want our buttons as well. We want to be able to access those buttons from Lua. We'll create that function. Cool. All right, and before we do that, let's go up to our constructor. We can get rid of this. And we can put our MP mouse is std make unique mouse. Awesome, that should be good for us. So that's gonna make a new mouse pointer, unique pointer. All right, now in the register Lua mouse button names, all we have to do is say lua.set, and we're gonna call it left button. And this will be your Scion mouse left, middle right, middle right, and same with here, middle right. Now you can name them whatever you want. That's what I'm going to name them. And then here we're going to call our register mouse button names, send in our Lua. Cool. All right, and since we're already getting our input manager up here, down here we want to get the mouse. So we want to go auto reference mouse is equal to input manager dot get mouse. Okay. Now we only need to get the one mouse. So now let's create our new Lua user type. New user type, and that's going to be a mouse. All right. Now if you would like a little challenge, pause the video right here and try to create the mouse yourself. Do all the functions for the mouse, and then maybe take a look at the SDL docs and see what you have to do in the process events to get the mouse to work. And then if you can, try to go to your main.lua and see if you can get the mouse to work. Pause the video right now and take a crack at it. All right, we're back. Hopefully you gave it a shot. If you didn't, we're going to do it right now. So mouse. And then we don't want a constructor, so we want to say sol no constructor. Sol no constructor. And we're just going to say our just pressed. Just pressed. And that's going to be a lambda. We're going to capture a reference. And we're going to take in our button. And it's going to return mouse is just pressed, and it's going to take in the button. So we got two more like that, and it's just released, and is button pressed. Okay, so let's fix these here. Is pressed, just released. And we have a couple more to do. We want to get the position. So position, you could say mouse position. I'm just going to say position because it's going to say mouse dot position function, right? So it makes sense to me. Also, we're going to capture a reference, but we're not going to put any arguments. And we're going to say return mouse dot get screen position. And you know what? I'm going to change that to screen position. Because eventually we'll have a world position, but we'll worry about that later. And then we need our wheel X. Which also doesn't take anything. Return mouse.get wheel X and wheel Y. Awesome, there's our mouse there. Now we don't have to add any of this to our scripting system because it's already in there with the create input binding. So all we have to do now is go link it up in our application. So let's go to our application.cpp here, and let's go up to the top and let's add in the mouse. We probably don't have to add this in because we already have the input manager, but I'm gonna put it in anyway. And go down to our process events right here. So we're going to have to add in a few more event types, and it's going to be case, SDL, mouse, button down. We need mouse button up, mouse wheel, and mouse motion. Awesome. Now that that's filled, up here, let's get our mouse, reference mouse. Equal to input manager dot get mouse. Awesome. Now we have our mouse, and here we want to go mouse dot on button pressed, not is button pressed, on button pressed, and want to set n event dot button dot button. And break. So on button press, whoops, we can copy that and go for button down on button released. Same idea. And let's scroll this down a bit. On mouse wheel, we want to set our X and Y mouse. So M set mouse wheel X, and it's M event dot wheel dot X, and then Y. And then we want to break from here as well. And then in mouse motion, we just go mouse dot set mouse moving, and that we'll just say true. All right, and then in our update, since we already have our input manager, let's get our mouse. So auto mouse is equal to input manager dot get mouse, and then update mouse dot update. Awesome, and that's it. So let's see if it builds. Go to build solution and see how it does. Awesome, build succeeded. So that's great. So let's go into our main.lua and try this out. So hopefully you gave it a shot yourself to see if you could do it and came up with the same thing, or maybe even a bit better if you like it a different way. So now we want to get our mouse. So we go if mouse dot just pressed, and let's say left button. Then we're going to want to print mouse left button pressed. Cool. Copy this. Change this to else if just pressed middle. Copy middle. Middle pressed. Copy this all. Paste. We can end here. So else if right button. Mouse right button pressed. Awesome. So there we go. Let's try that out, see if it works. So we got our guy, we got our left button, right button, middle button. Look at that, they're all working. I like it. Okay, so close this down. Now the last thing we need to check to see, well, we can check to see our wheel X as well, but we're not going to worry about that at the moment. I want to get our position. So local mouse X, mouse Y. Is it because remember we're returning a tuple here? Mouse dot screen position. Cool. And then we want to print that. So print mouse pause. Mouse X. Mouse Y. And let's see if it does. And awesome, look at that. We're getting our mouse position. If we go up into this corner, our right corner, that's our 0, 0. Let's see if we can get it on 0, 0. Wherever that is. 0, 7. Close enough. So 0, 6, and if we go down here, that's our 640, 480. Awesome, perfect. So we got our mouse position, we got our buttons working. All right, there we go. If you want, test it out for wheel X and see if that works. And that's it for this video. The next video, we're gonna start getting into the gamepad. The gamepad's a bit more complicated. Not very, but same idea, but we have to add in the gamepad. Maybe you can take a shot at it. Look at the SDL documentations for joysticks and controllers and give it a crack yourself. Just do it with the same input management. Create your buttons, create your gamepad class, and then try to add it to the input manager. The only thing that's gonna be a little bit different, we wanna be able to have 4 controllers. So you want to make sure that you create a way to control 4 different controllers. Check the states for all the controllers and stuff like that. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, please leave them below and I'll make sure I get back to them for sure. Take it easy.